I play ice hockey. I'm a professional women's ice hockey player, and that's a predominantly white sport. So, one thing that I learned in this past year is to not fear your voice and to be able to speak up and speak your truth, because people need to and want to listen to what you have to say. And I felt this whole last year I was this book that I was just being vulnerable and sharing my experiences and sharing my story. And at times that was uncomfortable, but it was definitely what needed to happen. Working with the Los Angeles Kings, we had an emphasis on listening and learning and engaging. And we basically decided, hey, we need to act, right? Our community in LA is so important, and our fan base doesn't depict the diversity that we want to see inside Staples Center, and especially the next time we win that Stanley Cup. So we have rolled out an inclusion plan for the next years to come, and partnering with the Alliance has been such an honor for us and me especially. But yeah, I think just being bold and standing up and talking about what you think is important is something that I've definitely learned.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree. I mean, I think um, there are so many lessons learned in the past year and a half now. And what I experienced last year outside of even just this world that we're living in which health and safety is, priority, um, when it comes to the pandemic, but then also bringing a huge spotlight on health and safety when it comes to Black communities in this country. And there's so much intersectionality in what I and all of the players of the WNBA and WNBPA have experienced, because, we live in this America that has such a tattered history in terms of how Black and brown people are treated. And we're still excelling in what we do while also dealing with the inequities of being women as well. And so much of what we live every day is represented in our professions and what we do. And so there was certainly a reckoning for those who may not have felt as though they were hearing us in the past. I always like to say, when people ask us about how we've learned and what we've been doing, and the notoriety that we've gotten for what we've done in this past year, it's nothing new. What we've been doing is nothing new to us, but it's new to a lot of people. And so I think now we're really standing in our truth, as Blake said, because people are finally listening. And I think that in a lot of ways, we've realized the incredible amount of strength there is, not just in numbers, but in solidarity, and in just supporting each other, because to move forward, we have to link arms.
You originally just play a sport because you love it, right? You play the game and you grow up and you fall in love with it, and then opportunities come. In 2015, I became the first African-American professional women's ice hockey player, and I had no idea what that entailed until I started to see young Black and brown girls coming to the game for me specifically, and saying, Blake, I can be that too. And I think us as female athletes, we are constantly pushing the narrative of representation and how powerful that is. And I was 20 something years old when I stepped into that space, and I looked back and I said, well, this is me right now. This is why I'm playing this game. And I am honored to have that pressure, because it's really just a privilege to be in this space, to blaze trails for those to come behind me. And that was, seeing those girls coming to those games is the moment where I realized that it wasn't just about me having fun on the ice anymore. This is about the future of our sport and the future of women as athletes.
My moment was, I talk about this all the time. My moment was definitely in 2017, when the LA Sparks, stayed in the locker room during the anthem, to protest, police brutality on Black people in this country. And it was such a crazy moment because it was game one of the finals. And as any high level athlete knows, like those moments are serious, you know. It's all about routine, it's all about preparation, it's all about focus. And not to say all of that went out the window, but there was something much bigger for us in that moment. We were having discussions literally before we ran out on the court, as to whether or not we wanted to be out there, what other people felt. You know, there was just so much going on in that locker room. And we stood, what I loved about it was that we stood together, you know. There was so many displays of advocacy and allyship in that moment. And we were booed when we came out after the anthem, but then we also received a lot of letters from fans who were very, very proud of what we had done, you know, because in a moment that was so big in our careers, we still, you know, there's still something so much greater than us that we could use our platforms to show.
To be totally honest, I didn't feel supported by my peers and my environment that I was surrounded by constantly for the 20 something years that I've been playing. But I think this past year has forced us to stop and forced us to come together. It's been, for me, relieving. I felt like a weight has been lifted off of me because I've been so silent for so long.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with that, you know, and I think that it comes not just with, you know, identity in this world, but also with, you know, the paths that have kind of been bestowed upon us in terms of being women athletes, you know. Um, there's so many layers to um, the inequalities and the quieting of voice, you know. And I think that outside of being Black women in the country, it's also about being women in sport, you know. You should be grateful, you know. You should be grateful. And for a long time, you know, we believed that narrative, and that really causes you to lose your voice or actually never really find it. And so now we live in a world where if you're not talking, you look crazy, you know. And to be in a position now to finally not think about what were repercussions before for just speaking up for yourself and speaking up for others, but to be able to empower your own self and those around you